and we're going to have a great webinar tonight with Ron Mueller. And so, Ron, I'll introduce him a little bit more here in a second. But by way of announcements, there's a few things that I wanted to mention to you guys. The big announcement is Zango Date Night. And on Zango Date Night, we're going to have Matt Townsend, who's a nationally syndicated author and trainer on business relationships and people performance. He's going to be joining us for a great night. And at the Zango Date Night, we're going to have a free night of food, fun, prizes, and learning. And it's going to consist of three main presentations. The first one is a 45-minute hands-on opportunity presentation with 500K David and Susie Butler, followed by a special corporate presentation with Ryan Anderson. And then the main performance is by Matt Townsend. He's going to give a 1-hour training on relationship and people performance. And so this is going to be a great event. And trust me, if you're not local, this is going to be well worth the drive. So even as far as Las Vegas, you might want to consider driving up here for this event. And as you can see there, it's going to be Thursday, April 28th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Zango headquarters. And it's going to be a great event. Did you want to comment on that, David?
Yeah, I just appreciate that, Seth. It just kind of the same things he did. This is Matt specializes in relationship, people performance. If there's any repair, any needs with their upline or downline or crossline or corporate or something like that, repair of relationship or fragile relationships or forgiveness that's needed or development that's needed or strengthening of those relationships that are needed, those kind of things can really help momentum to be able to have those kind of strengthening type things that he really has the ability to get in there and create synergy in relationship, not just and this isn't just a marriage or something like that. This gets into business relationships. It's really special. I promise you, you'll hear some things you've never been taught that you probably should have. That's the way I like to put it. I thought, man, I wish I would have heard some of this kind of stuff earlier in my life. This is very, very, very special. It'll be kind of a party atmosphere with prizes and giveaways and just neat things from us and from corporate stuff. But at the same time, it'll be one of the best learning sessions you've probably ever been at. Be a lot of fun. There'll be a real good toxic presentation. The opportunity presentation will be real hands-on regarding the non-toxic products we have and the dirty dozen, and we'll kind of get into that. It'll be a pretty cool little products presentation thing, and won't be boring. I don't think it'll be boring at all. It'll be fun, something you can probably take home and use in presentations yourself. Also, going to be real special.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Well, that's all we had by way of announcements. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over for the main event, David Butler. So go ahead and take it away, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Seth. I do want to say, before I bring Ron in, I do want to say one other thing, too. I happened to be down at corporate today and did about an hour and a half tour down there with Cliff and Lisa Wise with a prospect. They had a wonderful gentleman by the name of John, and who was owned his own insurance company and now owns a motivational company and training company in Utah here. Real special guy, and looking forward to not to leave what he's doing, but to expand what he's doing and go into bring in a secondary income that he thinks is really needed in these days and so forth. And it was just so interesting to see what happened down there at corporate. And the reason I'm saying this is because I encourage all of you to, if you're able to either bring or even send, because heck, we'll help you with the tours. If you can't be here, that's one of the reasons we're here, is to help with tours and stuff like that. And they have representatives at Zango that'll help with tours and so forth. But you should have seen the wonderful thing that happened during the course of this hour and a half. This awesome gentleman was already pretty convinced that Zango was a really wonderful company. He had heard good things and his reputation, things like that. But still, a lot of with people and see how he felt. Really wanted to do, really was after really serious due diligence, both on the products, on the people, and things like that. And by the time the thing was over, it was just so incredible to see his feelings about what had just happened to him. And even though he felt good before, it was nothing like what he felt at the end, and the transformation he felt when he felt the spirit and the character and and felt the morals and the honor of the Zango people down there, all the way from the people like Scott Smith, Mueller, McFarland that were there, to people like the founders and so forth. It was just and on ourselves for having get to know Cliff at least a little bit more in the Zango setting, although we knew him in other settings. In the Zango setting, getting to meet me in kind of a Zango setting, and kind of the things I was able to go through with him. And I'm telling you something, you should have seen that. And I just, because of what I see, that every time somebody comes down, I just encourage you to, if you're able to, either send or bring people to go through that corporate experience, because it's an eye opener. And like I told him, I says, as you probably can see, this isn't just like any other company up and down this freeway. And he says, I know that. He says, I know that. He says, I'm familiar with some of the others. He says, this has a whole different feel to it, a whole different posture and culture than so many of the other companies. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out because it was just so thrilling to see that. That being said, I want to bring on Ron Mueller. Ron's one of the country's top home-based tech experts. Ron, I know you're on the line. I'm on the road myself a little bit like this, and I'm not at home, so I'm actually not looking at your bio right here. But he's the author of one of the most one of the best-selling books and tape series and so forth that's out there, and I want to get that out right now, and where they can get that so that they can kind of write it down, Ron, real early and have that information for them, because I know they're going to be so impressed. They're the ones that don't have it, or they're going to want to go out and purchase that, because it's so critical, I think, to have that during this season and so forth, and coming season. So give me the exact name of that, Ron. Give the people the exact name of that, where they might be able to get it, Ron. Okay?
Yeah, their web address is homebusinesstaxsavings.com. Homebusinesstaxsavings.com.
And what's the name of what they're looking for?
The book is called it's called Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy.
Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy. I've been through that multiple times, and it's just wondrous. And it's easy, Ron. What I like about it, I'm such a dummy when it comes to taxes and technical stuff. And even though I was straight A pluses in math all the way high school and college, I mean, I was like A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus. Yet I don't know how to do taxes. I mean, it's really weird that I was so good in math, and yet I can't do taxes. It's really weird. It doesn't calculate, but maybe it does in your mind. But anyway, it's easy. I can understand that, Ron, and I appreciate that. That's one of the special things about Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy. Ron spoke at our regional in Orlando. He actually spoke at one of the breakout sessions, and it was like, I think it was the single most popular breakout session. There were like a couple thousand people there, 2,500 people there at his breakout session, and for good reason. And I think it's the most popular one. And he was also good enough to do a video for us that so many of you probably have already seen and sent out to hopefully hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And if you haven't, you need to right now go look at it and understand how powerful that can be, either as a lead video to get people into the business and understand the money they could save just by being in it, or as a follow-up video. What an incredible follow-up video! But it's one of our main videos. It's so important. We put it on the mainframe of prospecting videos. And the best thing about Ron is he's just a nice guy. And, you know, Ron's not in this. I know we all like to make money and everything, but I know for a fact I can say this. Ron's not doing this only for the money. It's like a calling for Ron. It's like I know he's a very spiritual guy, and it's like a calling from above to Ron. And Ron, that's one of the great things I appreciate about you. What we usually do, Ron, and I think I already told you that I'd like to do this. What we usually do is I usually ask, you know, if Susie's with me, we usually ask a series of questions, you know, 4 or 5 questions and so forth. But tonight I'd like to do something just a little bit different. What I'd like to do is kind of cut you loose and let you just kind of get on a roll and for the next half hour or so and just talk about tax savings and the way you want to kind of handle it and let you just get going. The only thing I'd ask is if I hear something I want you to kind of elaborate on, or maybe I want to elaborate on it, just kind of let me interrupt you a little bit because it might be an important point that I want a little elaboration on. And other than that, I'd like you to just get on a roll and talk about what you want to talk about. I've got a strong feeling that people will want to listen to this again or send some of their distributors or prospects to it, you know, or whatever, because it's going to be in the archives. So, folks, here's a real tax expert, and even better than that, a real friend, Ron Mueller. Go ahead, Ron.
Thanks so much, David. And I just want to say that as far as your being able to prepare your tax returns, I don't prepare mine either. And I don't know anybody who really can. That's why I've gotten many tax preparers, I guess. Because there's more than 19,000 pages of tax code, and it increases like week after week after week, like forever. Every time you hear Congress say there's a tax simplification bill in process, be worried because it doesn't simplify anything. It just gets more and more complicated, which is why we have both a problem and an opportunity tonight. The problem is that we're getting strangled to death by taxes. If you know that taxes are costing you more, think about these numbers. How much you're paying for your rent or your mortgage bill, your housing costs. Add to that the money you spend on out-of-pocket health care expenses. That's your premiums, copays, your deductibles, and health-related products that aren't covered under your health insurance plan. Add to that all the money you spend for food every month for your whole family. Add to that your transportation costs, your car payments, and your and gas, and et cetera. Add all those together, and the total is still less than what you're paying in taxes. Our pockets always feel empty because Uncle Santa's upside down shaking the money out constantly. That's the bad news. But the good news, guys, is that we are fortunate enough, being in Zango, to be in a category of taxpayers that get the biggest tax breaks. The biggest of all tax breaks in America go to home-based business owners. You see, we get the same tax deductions the big businesses get, but we get a lot of other extra goodies as well. And the reason, let's talk about why Congress would pass special tax breaks for home business owners. There are actually 2 primary reasons for it. One is because it puts a good safety net under the American economy. So if you, the theory is that if you go to work tomorrow and find out you don't have a job because your company got downsized or right-sized or capsized, what you got was unemployed. If that happens, Congress said instead of going home to look up the address of the unemployment office, how about they went home and ramped up their, in our case, Zango business from part-time to full-time? They'd be way better for the American economy. And second, it provides an additional stream of income for American families, which is especially important during hard or uncertain economic times. So that's why they decided to pass these tax breaks. Because they said, okay, ideally, if every taxpayer had a part-time home-based business that could be ramped up to full-time on short notice, that'd provide a great safety net, right? Okay, so how do we encourage taxpayers to do that? Well, they looked at what kind of incentives work with most people, and the great common denominator for incentives is money, right? It may not be the most important thing in the world, but it rents up their oxygen for lots of folks. So they said, we pay people. Maybe they'll start home-based business. How much are we going to pay them? And how are we going to pay them? Well, how much? They said it probably ought to be enough to cover the cost of running their business. Because that way it's cash neutral. Nobody can say, we don't want anybody to say, I want to do this, but I can't because I can't afford it. So if we give them enough money to cover the cost of running the business, that'd be a huge help. Now, how are we going to give them the money? Well, what's the easiest way for Washington, the most efficient way for Washington to put more money in your pocket? To take less money out of your pocket. And that's what they decided to do. They said, okay, if we use tax deductions, we'll give them enough tax deductions